Hey, what's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. It is a Wednesday. Yeah, today's Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. That voice you heard that is not mine is Adam Carlson. How are you, sir?
It looks like I have a flat top hairdo, but I really don't. It's weird how this camera is doing this visual magic right now.
Oh, man. I hope you're doing well. Kyle West is here, too. Is that a new Vikings hoodie?
I've had this one. I don't know if I've ever worn it on the show before, so we can say it's new to you.
Nice. It's cool, man. I like it.
I noticed your hat. That's a really sweet hat. I like the bill on it.
Shout out to Turtle. If you guys have seen him on social media and you do a super deep dive stalker look around on YouTube like I did, you can meet cool
I do
people
know you like Entourage.
Yeah. It's a good reference. Thank you for that. The Crucial Catch hat. Yeah, I got that from my friend Turtle at the Panthers Vikings game this year. And it's my favorite hat now. Appreciate that.
I dig it. It's a cool one. So I'm still waiting for the Minnesota Vikings to show up on Monday Night Football and play against the Chicago Bears. Does anyone know where they are? Has anyone seen the offense?
They started the bye week early. They were hungover from Turkey on the Thursday before. And as we've said many times on the show, that was a football game.
It was a hell of a day to stop sniffing glue if you're a Vikings fan.
If you stayed up all night for that, or were in another country where that game was on in like the middle of the morning, I feel so sorry for you.
We're going to go into all of the little nuances of what went wrong and just where we can go from here as fans. But I'm going to tell you right now, I've been a fan of this team since Brett Favre in 2009. This game broke me. It pissed me off to a level I've never been. These guys know in the chat. Of course, I was being dramatic because that's just my personality. I said the most profane words I've said in a long time. The offense looks like dog shit. And before we get into it, I have to throw the stat out there for everyone in case you didn't know the most Minnesota Viking stat of this year. Their opponents, the Denver Broncos last week and the Chicago Bears this week, combined scored one total touchdown. The defense is doing incredible things. I mean, night and day difference from last year. The offense is struggling hard, and I understand the run game sucks. You don't have your best receiver, best player. But if you said to me the Vikings defense is going to hold two teams to one total touchdown between two games, I'd be like, well, they blew them out. They did well. No, we're 0-2 in that stretch. We let subpar teams beat us, and I am furious because this team, if you take away those two losses, would be at 4. We would be 8-4 at the moment, which is what we should be. And it happened, last week with Denver. I wasn't on the show. Sorry, guys, if you guys wanted to see me last week. I don't know that anybody did, but I was traveling for work. Didn't bring my computer. I'm glad I didn't talk about that game because it made me mad. But this team, man, they were anemic last night on offense, and I don't know where to begin, so I'll let you guys put your thoughts out there, but I think you can just pass the gravy boat around of blame for what the hell happened last night. You can start with the quarterback. 4 interceptions is terrible, but I feel a lot of what happened last night was on the coach. And
a couple of those interceptions weren't really Dobbs' fault, even though he was playing weirdly, I won't say weirdly aggressive at times, but he was making throws that he seemed overly confident in when they weren't really wide open receivers. So that was weird. But the one thing I got to ask you is, how do you feel about this whole proving the whole narrative correct that the Vikings cannot play in primetime?
I don't think it could be any given Sunday. If you ask me, it doesn't matter what time of day. Of course, the stakes are higher in the playoffs and the stressors and the mental part of it kicks in. But the fact of the matter is, and you have to highlight this as a fan, if you're a fan and you respect football, no matter what, you have to give credit where credit's due. That Chicago Bears defense came to play. They were all over the Vikings offense at every point. And I think probably, and it doesn't say much because I don't like him, and I hope the Bears sign him to a 5-year deal. I don't think Justin Fields is anything special, but I think he played to his strengths on Monday. And I think he really exposed, especially when you go out into a zero blitz, you just got to make one simple throw to a guy that's wide open, and then you're going to inevitably get the first down to win the game. I mean, it's not that hard. Most of these games in the NFL, give a week or two away where everybody just has a great time when they win and a terrible time when they lose. Most of these NFL games go into 4 plays a game that determine the outcome. That was one of them. I think the Chicago Bears played very well. I think the Vikings played really, really bad. And I think we still should have won after playing very bad. But it's so frustrating to lose to a team like that who's just like, they're falling off the hinges, and their coach probably won't be there next year. And I don't know. I know one thing, and I'll shut up after this. I know that was a long-winded answer. Did we not say like 2 weeks ago when I was on the show last that don't get your hopes up? This could be Case Keenum 2.0. This could be 2017 all over again. Did I not say that? Did we not predict the future that this dude has been on 7 different teams for a reason? And when I say this, I'm rooting for him to succeed. All the stuff that he does, when he's ad-libbing and running, get back to that. Because the whole thing about let's schedule some throws and I stay in the pocket. No, get the guy out in space and let him make some plays with his legs.
Well, the worst thing from this game, the absolute mind-bending thing, is when the Vikings went up 10-9 with about 3.5 minutes to go. What did Minnesota do to put themselves in control? Oh, they came out once they got the ball, ran Madison up the gut for nothing, ran Madison to the right again for 1 yard, then they threw a pass 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. And punted it away to lose the game. Where is this killer? Why is they keeping their feet so far away from the gas pedal once they get a lead? And the defense was doing the same thing. They were being super. It's mind-blowing because this is the 3rd week in a row that Minnesota has done this for the lead. And it's been 2 losses. I mean, what is the deal here?
To echo your point too, Adam, these are not good teams. I don't care what anyone says. They might be heating up and they might be figuring things out. I don't think the Broncos are anything special. I think Russell Wilson is washed. I think they have a very, very, very good defense that's young and just stymieing. Same with the Bears. I don't think Justin Fields is great at all. I think he's got better pieces this year, but they're playing badly against shitty teams. And I mean, let's have to look at the playoff. Yeah, the Broncos aren't even in the mix for the playoffs right now. They're not.
They are on a 5-game winning streak, if I remember right, though.
They are. And you know what? That's what maybe they're getting hot, and I can't take too much away, but my personal opinion, I don't like anything to do with that team. I hate the head coach. I think quarterback's the corniest human that's ever walked the face of the earth. That has nothing to do with football play. I just think he's a corny dude. But we've lost to 2 non-playoff teams, one of them in primetime at home, that is projected to have the 4th overall pick. That's how bad they are.
Oh, yeah.
And they beat you not getting in the end zone. I can't echo that enough. I'm so pissed at this team. You lost to a team, and all they did was kick field goals.
And they even missed one.
It's insane. It's insane that they couldn't get to the end zone themselves because TJ Hawkinson had the only score of the game for either team. But it's also crazy that not only Dobbs like kind of forcing the ball, and he was putting a lot of zip on some of these balls for what reason, I don't know. And then the defense goes out and gets you some gifts. They get you 2 turnovers. We're not letting Kyle talk. Sorry.
No, you guys are having a good discussion. I don't interrupt. That was good. I was just going to chime in here and say that I agree with Adam's main overall point is that what happens to Kevin O'Connell at certain points where it's just like he forgets how to call plays. Like a couple weeks ago, we're sitting here on the podcast and we're praising him for the way they were using Josh Dobbs, and they found a way and they played up to his strengths and they were running the Wildcat, and they're giving him these, they're rolling him out and they're giving him, hey, if your first and second look aren't there, then just tuck and run with the ball. And hey, look at how well they're using Josh Dobbs. And this game, it's like they said, pardon my language, it's like they said, fuck it. We're not going to do any of that anymore. We want you to just be a drop back pocket passer quarterback. We're just going to dust off the same playbook that we use for Kirk Cousins. We're going to pretend that Madison is Adrian Peterson because AP was up in the stands. So let's just run it like it's him for some reason. And they outthought themselves at every possible step during that game. That was a bad performance by some players. Dobbs didn't play well. Like you said, one of the interceptions you can put on Addison. Should have been a catch.
Two of those passes were tipped in the air and intercepted. So I know that I can't put full blame on Dobbs for those, but Dobbs still made enough mistakes to where he shouldn't have been forcing the ball the way he was. And it's a shame because all Chicago really did to win this game was they ran screens all day.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah. So my donkey for this game, I'm going to give it to the coaching staff, not the defensive side. Like you said, I think Brian Flores and the defense, they're doing their job. They're holding up their end of the bargain. It's the offensive play calling.
But that last defensive series too, they deserve part of that donkey.
Yes, they did. I
remember yelling to you guys in the chat.
Up way too many third and longs.
I remember yelling it to you guys in the chat too, screaming it. Can we stop sending every freaking defensive player on third down and maybe just do like the thing that worked in the first part of the game? Sorry, there's a thing coming. Is cover. Zone coverage, guys, is what I was trying to say. Zone coverage was working great. And I'm not sure why they decided to do that. I know this team blitzes, and it's one of the things we said at the beginning of the season. Once we figured out this is who the team was, we're like, well, you're going to live and die by the sword. Much like last year was, everybody hold. We're going to make a big play at the end of the game and save it, and we're going to win by whatever. That's why we've won so many one-score games is somebody's going to come up with a sack, a turnover, whatever. This year, we're going to send the house and see how it works out. And you have to live with that with this defensive coordinator. I love Brian Flores. Best decision in the offseason, in my opinion. And this is good too here. Mike says it. This is a good little transition for my little rant here. We miss Jordan Hicks. Hope you get well and come back. Saw Anthony Barr out there at one point. I was like, oh, that's weird. 54. I didn't even notice you. And yeah, of course, JJ will be back. You know who the winner of this game was? Kirk freaking Cousins. He's just got to be sitting at home twiddling his thumbs like, you guys miss me yet? I think we would have won the game if he was playing. I'm just saying.
So what do you guys think about the Vikings coaching staff being non-committal to Dobbs being the starting quarterback when the team returns?
I think that's a stupid thing to do. I think you just traded for him, and you should support him like you've supported Kirk, like he was your conjoined twin. You should be like, hey, we'll figure it out. Give that bland, vague answer.
A lot of fans are thinking that if Dobbs isn't the option, Hall will be. But do you guys think it would actually be Mullins, or who do you think the team would turn to?
So I think that Kevin O'Connell at this moment is looking at it going, we are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
Right.
We still want to, we still believe that there is a chance to do that. Therefore, he has to start who he thinks can run his offense to the best of their ability. And that is going to be, I don't think Josh Dobbs or Jaron Hall. It's going to be Nick Mullins. And it's probably not going to be fun.
And fans are going to hate it.
Fans are going to hate it because
they want to see the rookie.
Right. But I don't think that's where they're going to go. Not for the first game. Not for the first game after the bye. They're going to go with the veteran.
Do you think they come back out with Dobbs, or do you think they make a switch?
They make the switch.
I'm going to say stick with Dobbs because they had time. See how he does with JJ. And just echoing your point, Kyle, and looking for everyone in the chat. I'm on ESPN. They have a nice article up for the if you go to NFL on the homepage, you'll do the playoff predictions and projections. The Vikings right now have a 58% chance to make the playoffs, which is pretty good. And their current schedule is Sunday, December 10th. Not this weekend, but next weekend at 4:05 in the afternoon. They are away against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are heating up a little bit since they fired Diet Bill Belichick out there and got their interim coach. He's motivating the hell out of those guys, that'll be a tougher game than we thought because they were pretty much dumpster fire the last 2 years. But
one thing about what Mike Kaplan was saying here about Dobbs and Jefferson is that Jefferson hasn't really been away from the team while he's been hurt. Ever since he was activated to be on practice, he has been near the team, and I think that's going to be a good benefit for Dobbs because, Dobbs still doesn't have enough to really develop a huge relationship with any of the pass catchers on this team and really learn the details of how they play. But Jefferson has that ability to gain separation and, make himself available to quarterbacks. So this will be a great asset for him, and maybe it'll be enough to where the coaching staff will say, okay, let's give Dobbs a shot and see what he can do with this weapon.
And Jefferson is the embodiment of that meme where the quarterback just hauls back to throw a deep pass, and he's like, fuck it. He's out there somewhere.
Yes.
He's out there somewhere. Like, Justin Jefferson is like, well, he's out there somewhere. Just throw it to him.
But see, now you got in my head that I'm picturing that Addison pass that went out of bounds, that deep one that could have been a touchdown.
Yeah, that was nice. It was too bad it was about a foot to the left. The Vikings are currently sitting in the second spot in the NFC North. As we all know, they play the Lions 2 out of the last 3 weeks and 3 divisional games of the last 3 games in the season.
That's going to be a rough stretch.
Well, it's worse before that because you're on the road for 2 weeks straight, and they're both against AFC teams. Now, luckily, one is indoors, but December 17th outside against the Bengals, even though they don't have Joe Burrow, I don't like that game. The Packers just beat the Lions, which was really weird. Didn't see that coming. Laugh out loud at the Lions, as Adam says. Lions being the Lions on Thanksgiving. But as it sits, they are at the Raiders, at the Bengals, home for the Lions, home for the Packers, and then at Detroit to end the season. There's a couple things I want to touch on with the rest of the schedule. Truthfully, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I know you guys probably don't like this answer. I don't give a flying shit who the quarterback is. Number one, because Sean Mannion just got cut, so it can't be him.
It could be. They have time to bring him back.
I don't care who the quarterback is. I really don't. At this point, the coaching has to come together because you were on such a nice run of a 5-game win streak and doing your thing as a coach. You have to make the playoffs. When you're just about 60% likely to make them, you need to go win these games. I think if you really want to cement your statement on the season, okay, there was a couple of games where we dropped the ball. Okay, we started rough, got hot, cooled off a little bit. Beat Detroit in one of these games. Win the game against the Packers, and then you got to come away with a split at least with one of these 2 AFC games. So that means for the last couple, 1, 2, 3 out of 5. I don't think that's impossible. I think that'll still give you a chance. The better would be 4 out of the 5, but I think you're asking a little too much. The defense is playing well enough where this is a possibility. I just don't trust the offense yet. And just for shits and giggles, this has nothing to do with the team and making the playoffs. Justin Jefferson has 571 yards on the year. He needs 429 to get to 1,000. We have 5 games to do that. I think that's more than enough to get him there. I just don't know who's going to get on the ball to get him 100 yards a game or, 88 yards a game, whatever the math is on that. But I know that if he comes back, that will certainly stretch the field, and it will be a nice that little bit of extra room to take a breath for the offense because they will have, him to lean on. The defense will have to worry about him. And I think it was smart too. You guys can comment if you want in the chat. I think it was smart to wait until the bye week to bring him back. There's no need to rush him. It's not like this team's fighting for the number 1 seed in a bye. So,
but do you think not activating Jefferson for this game would have had a different result if he was in the lineup?
Well, knowing how it played out and seeing how the offense played, I don't think it would have mattered. You can't turn this goes back to the NFC Championship game in 2009 for me. If you turn the ball over 4 or 5 times, you're almost guaranteed to lose the game. So I don't know. Sure, if he's on the field defensively, they probably scheme a little bit differently. But I think their defense, Chicago's defense, looked good the other night. They looked very good. There are guys I've never heard of.
They were well prepared.
Stuck all over the receivers and the pass catchers, man. And of course, the front was doing their job because they're always good. So I don't know if Jefferson would have. It sucks that you lost by 2 points. It really sucks that the defense, much like the week before, held them in check most of the game, and then there's one splash play at the end that ends up winning the game for the opponent, which that really.
Why did it take the Minnesota Vikings to get going so long? I mean, opening up the game, it was brutal to see them try to move the ball. And it's not like Madison was having a ton of problem moving the ball on the ground. But I don't think Madison even got the start on Monday night.
Well, that's a good sign if that's what it was.
Statistically, it's not. If you look at the stats from Ty Chandler, he had a bad game.
I'd still rather see him carry the load the entire game than anything from Madison. You guys can let me know in the comments if I'm being a hater, but I don't want him on the team next year. I know you're not going to cut him this season. I can't stand the way he runs. It just infuriates me when I watch.
Yeah,
and that
Ty
sucks
Chandler got the
because
start and they just couldn't move the ball with him. But he had 4 runs for 8 yards and a catch for like 3, maybe 11 yards total in the game. Brutal.
Yeah, the offense was anemic. I mean, there's no other way I can put it for that. I don't like the weird play calls too, where I understand there's a balance, and I don't know what the magic fairy dust is to make happen there. But when you're a bad rushing team, the only way you're going to even remotely try to get better is to run the ball more. But I just don't think they have the personnel to do that. And I don't know if you just do play action a ton and just fake it. I think they should go back to what Josh Dobbs did against Atlanta. I think they should let him get out and move around.
Well, they did that thing that I hate that NFL teams do occasionally, where they outthink themselves, and it really, to me, felt like the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell outthought themselves, where they're like, oh, we know, the Chicago Bears know that we can use Josh Dobbs as a mobile quarterback. Therefore, we're going to make him more of a traditional pocket passer for this game, and we're going to beat them.
I don't think that was the issue, though. I think the issue was that they took the time to open up more of the playbook for Josh Dobbs instead of letting him play his backyard ball. But the problem is that playbook they're opening up is for Kirk Cousins to Kirk Cousins' strengths. I think they need to reevaluate what they want to do with this playbook and who it's going to help, because the way it's set up, it is not there to help Josh Dobbs be his best player.
And I do think you're also seeing why Josh Dobbs has bounced around the league as much as he has, because for his upside, and he does have good upside, we've seen it. He also has enough deficiencies that stop him from being that player that you really want to latch onto as a franchise. I still think that moving forward, he is a good player to have in the facility to be kind of your backup quarterback, fringe starter. If you draft a rookie quarterback, you can have Josh Dobbs be in the room and he can help in that situation. He is not the guy that you are going to hire to be the face of your franchise, or a number 1 quarterback, 10-year deal that a lot of people wanted him to be when we immediately dubbed him the Pasternaut and went overboard on that hype train with him a little bit.
Well, to Adam's point too, I have to echo it. They do have that playbook that was specifically for Kirk and his strengths and all that. Give credit to Chicago again. He didn't have much time to get rid of the ball either, because that front is nasty. Their linebackers are good. Their secondary is great. And they played their ass off Monday. They really did do their homework and really prepare. The thing that I've hated over the last 14 years of diving into football is, we just got to prepare. You got to prepare. Oh, you got to overcome adversity, and what other fucking word vomit these guys repeat, and just,
if they could Caleb and Marvin, this could be a very different Bears team in the future.
Yeah,
for sure. They're going to fire their coach. They have to. I don't know if they're going to get rid of the quarterback too. That coach doesn't seem like it's it. But you've had 3 years of Justin Fields to make a decision on. But that dude's going to be him and DJ Moore. They're already in contention. If he goes to the Bears, they're already in contention for top 2 receivers, like the receiving duo in the league. I don't want him to go to Chicago. I hope they win out the rest of it.
I'm telling you, man. It's a new league. It's a new NFL. 3 years of Justin Fields. If you bring in a new head coach, he's probably gone. If you got the opportunity that the Bears got to draft, with those 2 high of a draft picks is what they got to get a quarterback and a receiver.
I have to laugh too. I want to get your guys' opinion on this, because you just made me think of this, Kyle. The show that has Dan Orlovsky and I forget the bigger, heavier set dude, the African-American dude with the beard. They're all in the show together. They were talking about that, or they were talking about Justin Fields specifically, and they're like, well, let's see if he doesn't stay in Chicago. There's at least 10 other teams he makes better. And they immediately went to the Jets or the Falcons, Minnesota. And I was like, does he though? I would take Kirk Cousins off of an Achilles.
Well, right now, Jaron Hall, I think, is the only quarterback on the Vikings roster into next season. So,
right.
Beating him out might not take too much.
Might not take too much, but I just haven't seen that development. This is the only game I've watched thoroughly of Justin Fields where I was I wasn't impressed.
He
but
had
I
those
was like,
back-to-back brilliant games where he was making a lot of plays with his arm where it made a lot of people buy in, at least temporarily, to what the changes could have been, because that Bears coaching staff is not doing him a lot of favors and working towards his strengths. But, I mean, it's not like another team could come in and maybe grab him and turn him into the next Michael Vick or something.
I don't see him being the savior. Like, I watched the other night, and I do think processing and his decisions have been better this year. But they've also made the team better, and they still aren't winning. Now, I don't know who that falls the blame on, but I don't know. There's a ton of different arguments we could make. I'm not a fan of him.
Exactly, the team's the winning fire the quarterback by Justin Herbert.
I don't know that you can take the full the full length of his career and say, no, it's just coaching. Look how great he is. Remember that stat we had up until this year? He hadn't thrown for over like 250 a game. I think it was like 228 or something like that.
Yeah,
that's fucking terrible. It's the
awful.
NFL where they want you to throw the ball everywhere. And he's like, nah, I just can't do that. Why can't you do that? Because he's not fucking good. I don't know what to tell you. But I can't say that now. They beat the Vikings on Monday, and I hate it.
Right? It's a bad time to be a Vikings fan. I don't get embarrassed to be a Vikings fan too often. I'm embarrassed right now.
I just don't like it. If you go into Philadelphia and you get beat 38-7 again, I'm not going to be upset because the Eagles are good. I think they're the best team in the league. I don't think there's really much of an argument against that. Or if they're not, they're number 2. But guess what? I don't expect this team to go into Dallas and beat them. Dallas embarrassed this team last year, and they won 13 games. I don't expect them to have another miracle game against the 49ers.
And now that Minnesota doesn't have a winning record, Dallas can beat them.
Yeah. I love that today, too. I listened to Cowherd on the drive back, and he's like, Dallas is mollywopping all the bad teams. And I'm like, did you forget the fact that they lost to Arizona? Because you didn't put that in there. Okay. Guess that doesn't count. But, I just don't like it, to your point, Adam, being embarrassed about the team. I just don't like when this team loses teams that are not as good as they are. On paper, everywhere, and coaching, personnel, scheme, all that. They should not have lost these last 2 games, and it comes down to mental errors. And I hate to do it because you were right, Adam. Not every turnover that Josh Dobbs had I can give 100% like. That was just a bonehead throw straight to the defender. We're going backwards to the start of the season now where we start giving the ball away 5 times a game.
But there was one throw that Dobbs made that should have been a pick 6, but the defender didn't hold on to it.
Yes.
His accuracy is not that good at times, and I don't know if that's something that you can coach out of him.
Yeah.
Well, you got a player like that that bounces on the league, there's a reason. It's because he can't place the ball consistently the way he wants to. And that could be a main reason why he hasn't been able to secure a starting job on a regular basis, because I'm not going to be a jerk too much, but Arizona is looking for a reason to move on from Kyler Murray, and the fact that he couldn't step in and maybe make Murray sit a little longer even is mind-blowing.
I don't think it's wrong. But we want to put the preface out there because the internet is forever, and this will be on a server that outlasts humanity. I'm supporting the quarterback, whomever that is that comes in. Joshua Dobbs, I like your story.
Oh yeah,
I think you're a kind human, and I am supporting you 100%. I want you to play. I want you to come in and do what Nick Foles did for the Eagles in 2017. That's what I want to happen. I'm rooting for you to figure that out and this coach to do it. But we talked about it a few weeks ago. People were ready after 2 games to be like, that's the future. Kirk's out, kick him out, blah, blah, blah. And we were over here saying, hold the hell up. We've seen this on this team literally before, right before Kirk got here. Relax. Give it a couple of weeks. Let him settle in. And,
if the Vikings sign main roster 53 to Sean Mannion, are you still going to support him?
I'm going to hope that the Vikings win. That's what I'm going to say. That's like who's still in the league? We were just talking about a couple weeks ago. White dude.
Joe Flacco.
Flacco's going to start this weekend.
Brian Hoyer. The guy has like a 0-13 record when he starts. I'm like, how do you still have a job? You're so bad at what you do. No, I can't. I'm not on the Sean Mannion trade. I'm still very much on the Josh Dobbs train, but don't ask him to do the Joe Webb in the playoffs thing. Kyle, you were right. Don't ask him to do that. Don't. Why does this team always do this shit?
So me and West give our donkeys. Did you give yours?
Oh God, I don't care. The whole team
pick one.
on the offense. The offense can have. No, I'm giving it to Kevin O'Connell. This is 2 weeks in a row. I'm not a fan of the play calling. Yeah, I know the quarterback had turnovers. Yeah, I know the receivers tipped passes that went to INTs. Blah blah blah. There was at one point too, and I understand why he did what he did. But you go for it on fourth down sometimes and you don't convert, and then other times when you have a chance to get points and you punt. Well, it's Greg Joseph's career long. Who gives a fuck? Are you trying to win the game or not? Go for it. You're indoors.
So the
You're
first half
home.
of the game, Dobbs forced the ball a lot to Addison. A lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Hawkinson didn't even get a target, I don't think, until the second half.
It was weird. That was very weird.
Why do you think that happened?
I'm not
if
sure.
Your first read isn't there. Why force that? Because Addison was not open on some of those.
10 targets for Addison, only 6 catches and 39 yards. 6 targets for Hawkinson, 5 catches, a touchdown, and 50 yards. So not only did he score the game's only touchdown, but he had the second most receptions. He only had 1 drop. I don't know.
I always feel like when this happens, like when we recognize it as fans that they were trying to fit the ball to Addison as much as what they did, there must have been something that they practiced all week that the Vikings thought that there was a favorable matchup with Addison against the Bears defense, where they're like, hey, we think you're going to have a big game, so you're going to be our primary target. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. It wasn't working out the way they hoped, but they continued to try to still fit the ball in. It's frustrating because there's still, even with Jefferson being out, I still feel like there's playmakers all over on offense.
Right.
And we know they can't run the ball too good right now. We know that Jefferson is out, but they should be able to be doing better than what they are currently.
Right. And I know this is a testament because there's a lot of bad football going on in the league. It's really hard to get it together. Honestly, guys, if we could go back in time, the moment that Kirk Cousins, we all saw that and his Achilles snap, we should have let go of expectation for the season.
I kind of did.
We should let it go.
People did.
We should go back to that. We got that smoke and mirrors for the next 2 games after because Dobbs did some miracle stuff that he wasn't supposed to do. And yeah, there were teams that we should have beaten, but still, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is at the moment. Any one of us could be right. Kyle, you could be right. It could be Nick Mullins, and I wouldn't be surprised. They could roll with Dobbs. I think they will because they traded for him, and he's got a little bit of a spark. I think his ceiling is the highest, although I think his floor is the lowest. I think you get more of the middle ground with Mullins. I could see either one of those things. I could see Jaron Hall getting a nod. I don't care. I'm trying to curb my expectations because right now, through 2 weeks of shitty Vikings football, the rest of the football gods gave us a break, and we somehow went from the 7th seed to the 6th seed.
They are going to. Here's my bold prediction.
They're going to find a way to 7th.
They're going to find a way to make the quarterback position even worse for the Vikings when they're going to be non-committal during the game, where they're going to start Nick Mullins and then they're going to pull him out and they're going to put Josh Dobbs in and they're going to run weird wildcat and we're going to have quarterbacks going on and off the field and it's going to be a fucking disaster.
I didn't think
that's what I think is going to happen.
You're so right.
Well, it's a Mac Jones treatment. Here comes Billy Zappi.
But you know what?
Positive... real quick before we forget. If either of the Patriots quarterbacks were just released today, does anyone claim them on waivers, or do they just?
I think Bailey Zappi gets claimed.
Somebody would take Mac Jones. Yeah, he's the first round pick, and he went to Alabama. I'm sure. Look, I'm defending those guys to the core. Bill Belichick and that offense, they're fucking god awful, and the personnel over there is so bad. Like, if I was him, I would just point and be like, look, I know he's the GOAT, but do you see what the fuck I'm working with over here? 2 years ago, a defensive coordinator was calling my offensive plays. What the fuck? Yeah, no, I think they would get claimed.
So Vikings media is going to be talking nonstop about this offense being real bad and Justin Jefferson hurting and hoping that they'll pick it up. But the real story has been the defense picking up. And if you're an optimist, you're looking at this defense and you're thinking, this is some good stuff right here. But you're also noticing that, okay, Danielle Hunter is leading this team and tied for the most sacks in the league right now.
And he's gone next year. Is that where you're going?
I was heading there.
Yeah.
And they will get some sort of compensatory pick when he leaves. And considering the pay rate that top edge rushers get in this league and how he's so scheme versatile, he's bound to get a massive contract. I'll probably net the Vikings a third round compensatory pick. I'm then thinking maybe at least a fourth. And that will help Minnesota have those kind of have the draft capital move around a little bit more. I know a third or fourth round pick isn't a ton, but every little bit can help when you're trying to move around on the draft board.
I agree. Go back to that. The point I wanted to make before we got into the draft and the Danielle Hunter stuff was the quarterback stuff. They have a week and some change now to kind of really take a deep dive. This is the point where I wish, like, you know, my homie up there, it could give me like insider information. I would swear to secrecy not to talk about it, but I'm like, what are you guys doing to plan to fix this? Because it looks like ass the last 2 weeks, but I can't say it like that, obviously. But yeah, they've got some time. I love that Jefferson's going to come back. I love that he has a chance against some teams that are struggling.
I love that Smith came right over my comment, right back into talking with the quarterback and Justin Jefferson. Like I said, the media is gonna.
Yeah, they're gonna jump all over that. You know what? I'm glad we didn't. Well, we don't have to cover that. Sorry, but yeah, you got me sidetracked. You know what got me on this rant? I'm blaming Mac Jones and Bill Belichick.
Adrian Peterson being at the game.
I was happy to see AP at the game. I wish that he would have suited up because he probably.
You know, sometimes I think. Sometimes I think the former Vikings bring so much bad mojo to the franchise when they're around it. It's like every time we're like, hey, here's Adrian Peterson. It's the worst game the Vikings have played of the season. Or like, hey, here's the throwback uniforms and we just shit the bed with them on. Or
oh, yeah, wearing those throwbacks on Monday night. They looked good being terrible.
Yeah, those
well,
are
you know
really
what's crazy,
good.
too? Did you guys see that quote from Jared Allen today?
Yeah, about Kirk Cousins.
About Kirk, yeah.
Yeah, he was on Kay Adams. Shout out to her. She is amazing. I love you. I couldn't believe he said that, to be honest with you. I was kind of taken aback. Kirk seems like a Jared Allen kind of guy. Jared Allen seems kind of like a Kirk guy. And I was like, what? You watched Adrian Peterson come back in like 8 months from an ACL. You don't think a full year Kirk Cousins could be back? Like, Aaron Rodgers is practicing, and it's only been 77 days.
Brett Favre was broke everywhere, and you guys convinced him to come back.
Back on a 1 year, $35 million deal. You're paying him $55 million next year.
See, that's the question. I know he probably won't take it because he hasn't so far, and the precedence is there. But in my heart, because he likes Minnesota, I want to believe that he will. If you just offer him $12 million, would he play with that? Because he'd be like, hey, you're already getting 28. You're 36 coming off an Achilles. You're going to get $40 million. Like, would he? I don't know. If I'm Minnesota, I would try that just once and see. But, yeah, we are 0-2 with the throwbacks, Ryan. Thank you for bringing that up. That's, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't buy one of those.
Good job, guys.
That was. I've been yelling for those things for fucking 10 years. They play their worst fucking games in there. They lost to Baker Mayfield and Justin Fields in those uniforms. Ugh. It's so gross.
I like the way Justin Thomas says no.
And
that could be about anything related to the Bears game, and it's a fitting statement.
Or it could be anything we said too. No, it makes sense. It's like, okay.
We get it.
But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this game because I'm so just disappointed and sad and frustrated that losing to a team that didn't score a touchdown is brutal.
Hey, it's worse because it's a Monday night football game, right? And I don't even mean that from the Vikings can't win in prime time perspective.
And you can't even say to your friend, hey, did you see that football game on Monday night? Because you're hoping they didn't.
Yeah, right. When it's a noon game, you kind of hide it a little bit because everyone else is playing at the same time, and it don't matter as much. But when you're on Monday Night Football, and I walk into work the next day, and everyone knows I'm a Vikings fan, I'm like, don't talk to me about
you're getting it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll make it even worse for you, Kyle. Can you imagine just about a month and a half ago when we played on Monday night and beat the red hot 49ers with Kirk Cousins and played the best game of the season? That was this year.
I tell you what, hey, let's lighten the mood a little bit here. The best experience after a game I think I've ever had as a Vikings fan was after the Minneapolis Miracle, when people who were not even Vikings fans were like, "Holy shit, did you see that the finish of that game?"
Right.
Yes, I did. That was a lot of fun.
I thought you said, here's a positive. They can't lose because they're on a bye this week.
They could.
There's also that. Oh, man, this is such a frustrating week. Oh, I hate this so much. But yeah, that was a football game, 12-10. Definitely a baseball score. I don't know.
And Minnesota was winning 10-9 with 3.5 minutes to go, and it's brutal that they weren't able to find a way to put things away or maybe be aggressive enough on offense to get a first down and keep the clock moving. I get one to run the ball and keep the clock moving, but when your running backs can't get more than a yard, you got to do something. And then you try a screen or a short pass to get 1 yard, and you end up 3-and-outing after getting a takeaway to secure the game. I mean, come on.
It's the same thing I saw the day before when I was watching the Eagles and the Bills scored in overtime. You're like, oh shit, here we go. Or maybe it's at the end of regulation. You're like, you left them 1 minute and 57 seconds. They're going to march down the field and tie the game. And they did. And then the Eagles ended up winning.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing when, you see the touchdown and I'm like, fuck, there's some time left. All they got to do is kick a field goal, at least a field goal, and we'll tie it. But you got to hold them back. Sorry, we lost 12-10. I'm thinking of the other game. But either way, there was still time on the clock, and you're thinking, well, are we going to keep them out of field goal range? Probably not. So, yeah.
At that point, asking the defense to hold again is a lot after they've done it all game. I mean, they were on the field 10 minutes longer than the Bears defense. They had to be exhausted, that Vikings defense. They were working hard.
For sure. Yeah, I hated seeing that interview with Harrison Smith that was making the rounds on Twitter. He was fucking defeated, man. He was so mad. So mad. I don't blame him too. But to wrap up the game and to talk about, going forward, we have the bye week this week, so everybody's going to get healthy. Jefferson will get even more rests, and the Vikings will figure out the quarterback situation. But as it stands right now, if you go to ESPN.com/NFL/playoffs and then machine. Minnesota is the 7th seed again with Seattle and I think Detroit. Two teams lost this weekend, and it had Minnesota in the 6th seed, which was hilarious until we decided to, as who said it in the chat, out-bear the Bears, Justin. We're the 7th seed. As it stands right now, if the season was over now and we started the postseason this weekend, Minnesota would travel to San Francisco. I'm not sure that I'd want to watch that game. That would be awful, but they would still be in the playoffs.
Hey-o.
Yeah. Enjoy that regular season win that doesn't transfer later, but I think this is
memories
pretty
of Vikings
fair.
losing to Daniel Jones popping in your head.
Oh yeah. Well, at least this team's better than the Giants. I did not think they were better than us last year. That was horrible. But it does. I mean, you guys probably agree with me. It does feel like Minnesota's good enough to be a playoff wild card, but not good enough to get anything done past that. I mean,
yeah,
sounds about right for this team.
So at this point in the season, what will it take for you to consider this season a success with all the injuries and everything?
They need to make the playoffs. They've been in the hunt for so long, going on that win streak. They need to get into the postseason. At that point, anything can happen. Do I think this team's going to win the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. That's like I would put a guaranteed stamp on it. But
you're not feeling good about like division chances or anything like that?
I think they could split with Detroit at best. I think they'll beat the Packers, and if they play well enough, they could beat the other two teams. I think they could come out of this 4-5, 3-5, and still get in the playoffs. That 5-game win streak that they had really did them a lot of favors, but now, I mean, you're literally back to square one. So don't shoot yourself in the foot, and you get 1-3 start at that, because that was the worst. Yeah, I think at this point, if you miss the playoffs with how much you were sitting during 2 months of football, where you were sitting as a playoff team, and then you end that poorly, I think that would be really bad. But also, I mean, on the flip side of that, not to be a hypocrite, but hey, the quarterback went down. Hey, we got a guy that's like a fringe backup starter. You know, our best player was out for a month and a half. Like, they could play that angle, but I just don't see this team doing that. Like, look at the defense. The defense is playing like top 5, top 10. They have the means. They just have to scheme things better, man.
I was so worried about the cornerbacks coming into this season, and I'm not there right now. That's one of my least worries, and they're doing it with guys I did not think they'd be able to even start this year.
You know, it's great. You know what's great? Not even thinking about this. Josh Metellus, what a year this guy's having. If there's a positive you can take away up until this point.
Too much this year, but he's been earning it. The way he's been taking on a bigger role with this team and doing anything they ask him to do, it's been so nice.
He's been balling out. I'm very happy that he's on the team. That's a good positive. Justin Jefferson comes back, guys. We can be happy for that. I don't know what to say. This Vegas game. I hate saying it after 2 losses to 2 shitty teams. This Vegas game could be a trap game, so don't get your hopes up for that. But I'm glad that they didn't bring Jefferson back too early and he didn't re-injure himself. Hopefully that he's had enough time.
Well, there's still time.
Yeah, I know you were going to say that. I'm hoping that's not what happens, but I'm excited to watch the team hopefully make it into the postseason at this point. It would be really sad if we started out shitty, had a little glimmer of hope, and then just ended the season very shittily with like 2 wins, which that could be the most Vikings thing ever to happen. But I'm going to hope that they get into the playoffs.
I still think that even if Minnesota gets into the playoffs, they'll be able to maneuver their picks around in the draft to be able to get a quarterback, not one of the top, maybe not one of the top 2 or 3, but one of those next tier of quarterbacks. And let's be honest, being a number 1 or number 2 overall quarterback does not guarantee any kind of success in the NFL.
It really doesn't. And if this class is as deep as what all the analysts say it is, how much of a drop-off is there between the number 3 and the number 4 projected quarterback this year?
Right.
Apparently not that much if it's that deep. And like you said, it's a crapshoot at any time. So you really never know.
And now with the Vikings having a new scouting system and new guys in place, maybe they won't be as bad at drafting quarterback as they have been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
This is a good segue into a fun little statistic that I pulled up. Speaking of former Vikings quarterbacks and bad performances, we knock on Josh Freeman quite a bit for his performance. That's kind of our de facto go-to like bad Vikings quarterback performance. Yep. I found one that's worse that we don't talk about a whole hell of a lot, and it's from the 2006 season. Are you guys ready for this one?
Uh-oh.
This was the first career start for Tavares Jackson. And do you guys remember how historically bad this game was? We've all blocked this from our memory as to how bad this game was. So the Vikings lost by a score of 9-7, with the only Vikings score coming from an interception for a touchdown by defensive back Fred Smoot. Think about that for a minute. The only touchdown came from Fred Smoot.
Who was this game against?
The Green Bay Packers.
Oh.
Of course.
So listen to this. The offense set a franchise low record of only 3 first downs the whole game.
Oh, boy.
3 first downs the whole game. They didn't even get close enough to attempt a field goal. They only had 27 passing yards gained against the NFL's 19th ranked defense. Tavares Jackson finished with a passer rating of 36.5.
Oh boy.
One interception and 1 fumble. So it's been worse.
It has been worse. Thank you for reminding us that.
2006 Vikings underneath Brad Childress. There you go.
Oh, good old Chili. Those are the days.
Chili. That was his pick. Old T-Jack.
Rest in peace.
Now, we will be back with another show next week. We won't have a game to talk about, but we'll be here. We don't take a week off unless something really crazy is going on with a couple of us. So we should be here to talk about Vikings football next week. But before we go, I need to talk about something that's kind of serious for me. I don't know if you guys have been following the situation with Sports Illustrated, but apparently Sports Illustrated is under a lot of scrutiny for using AI written articles and putting fake author names on them. And as someone who writes for an organization that focuses on sports, this is very scary to me because this is my livelihood. So I want you to make sure to support any sports writers that you really enjoy. And if you see an article by someone that you don't really know or is new to the scene on a platform that you're not 100% confident is in your best interests, maybe don't read the article or, don't share it. But if you are looking for sports opinions from a human being, we do that over on the Viking Age. We do human being articles, not AI written.
Yeah, that's a very excellent point you brought up, Adam, because all these mega corporations are showing right now just how cheap they want to be.
They can save a lot of money by not paying a real writer.
And it's not just writers. I mean, it's photographers, it's artists.
I've seen AI scripts being written for shows too, and let's be honest, some of those scripts probably aren't that bad.
Of all the uses for AI, using it for creative purposes come on, that's not the way we should be doing. That's not what we should be using AI for. So you're right. Support your local artists.
I've been doing this 11 years. I don't want to lose my job because people would rather read articles written by AI. That's just
I don't think people would rather. You've seen how Sports Illustrated was very coy about it by creating a fake profile with a fake picture and a fake bio. They're trying to pass it off as a real person because they know that if you know it's an AI article, you're not going to read it.
Right. Or I'd hope so.
I hope for your sake too, Adam. I think it would be long enough to where this would be a negative impact, but in the long run, it's just like I'm hopeful and faithful to the fact that this won't be the new standard. I think it'll be a failed experiment overall. I hear a lot of comedians talking about that, like, AI can write jokes, but they can't do the little inflections and come from you could type out a joke from like Dave Chappelle or whomever you want, and then you read it and it's like, that shit's not funny. What the hell is it? That's fucked up. Why would you say that? But the context of everything, there's a human element that a computer can never fully get to. And anything I've seen so far, especially with writing from a computer or like a script, it is the most basic bullshit, cheesy thing. It's so, if you have any soul whatsoever, you can be like, this is fucking terrible.
Well,
but
Smith, have you heard
you've heard
AI music, right?
Yeah, but I'm a musician, man, and I know exactly how they do that too. They take the original song and they change the pitch of it so it sounds like, oh shit, that's Donald Trump singing "Ball with the Ball" from Kid Rock. Like, no, it's Kid Rock, and they switch the pitch around. It sounds fucking stupid. And if you're dumb enough to believe it, sure, but I can't say enough because I'm gonna go on my old man rant. But a lot of people are dumb enough to be like,
I just went on my old man rant. Because I will admit, this whole thing, as soon as I saw this hit, it's scary.
Never underestimate the willingness for these mega corporations to be as fucking cheap as possible. So if they think they can cut you out of the equation, Adam, and put up an AI article, and guess what? We'll get the same ad revenue out of it. It don't matter. They're going to go for it, and it's scary, and we cannot support it, which is why you need to go to thevikingage.com and support real work by real people.
It'll be a failed experiment. I just hope you don't I hope you're not the victim of that, because what'll happen is they will lose money because people are like, this fucking sucks. And then they'll be like, oh, whoa, we didn't mean, we were just trying this out. Like, they'll backpedal like they always do because they have more money than they would
when they get caught.
The fact that Sports Illustrated is willing to try this, allegedly, I'll say, is really terrifying because I understand it from another company that isn't as established or doesn't have the resources to put out great content. But for a big media conglomerate to be in a situation like this is terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
I think what would happen, man, we're going off the rails, but I think just like it happened this year with the writers block the SIG-AFTRA or whatever, it's people are going to go on strike for that shit. You have to have that to have a human element. The human element can't be replaced. I saw it in my job for years. They said, we have robots that don't get tired. Dogs need rest and work cycles. So we're going to build this dog robot and send it around. It never gets tired. I'm like, yeah, it also doesn't find explosives. So good fucking luck with that. Because the dog can smell shit from fucking half a mile away. But sure, your thing has a battery that lasts for 15 hours. But can your robot dog bite someone correctly? Probably not. Can it smell what it needs to smell?
How far down this goes. Should you use the self-checkout at Walmart? I mean, I try to go to a person if I can.
Yeah.
I always love that
I understand
joke.
the convenience of it, too.
I always love that joke. It's like, I need my W-2 because every time I went to Walmart, I did self-checkout. So I got to claim them on my taxes. But yeah, terrible dad joke. But yes, I get what you mean. You should. We're going to throw it back. This is a throwback episode. They wore throwback jerseys on Monday. Support small businesses. Support the human element of whatever you do. And do the people version of whatever else. Don't use a kiosk. Use a person.
Could AI coach the Carolina Panthers better than the Carolina Panthers? That's what I want to know.
Oh, man. That dude is such a wannabe Jerry Jones, David Tepper.
That owner
Get your hand out of the fucking cookie jar, you jackass. You don't just because you own something doesn't mean you know what you're doing with it. You're gonna fuck this team up and they're gonna vote you out of Carolina if you don't stop.
Didn't I read today that he has fired every head coach he's hired midway through the season?
Oh, and under him, their winning percentages in like the 30s. They're fucking awful.
I know there's only 32 head coaching jobs ever in the NFL. Why would you take that one? Wouldn't you be like, nah, fam, I'm going to wait a minute?
I just said that they would vote him out, but they would, if I'm the owners, I'm keeping that guy around for 50 years because that team fucking sucks.
Dang.
And you're going to be guaranteed to win most of the time mathematically when you play them because they just can't do anything right.
They made Bryce Young look like shit. That takes talent.
That's a good point.
Lack of.
All right, we're going to get back on the rails in the show. The Viking Age. Go to the Viking Age.
Yeah, my apologies for that little rant, but I had to go off.
No,
that's something that's been really bothering me.
Yep.
I'm glad you said it, man. I didn't even think about that, but I'm glad you got that out there. Go support our own Adam Carlson at thevikingage.com. Every time you click on an article, his revenue goes up, his numbers go up. It's super simple and easy.
I'm having a very good month, and you can make it even better by clicking on a few articles over on the Viking Age.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna go do that right now, Adam.
Every other social media outlet, I am at MN Viking Zombie. I'm even on Blue Sky now.
Heyo, you followed me the other day. Welcome aboard.
I don't know what I'm doing over there, but I'm doing things. It feels like I'm just on Twitter again. It's basically a clone at this point. I'm not seeing the difference, but maybe it's just because I'm not following a community over there.
Yeah, there's some settings. There's some settings I can teach you, and once you get into figuring out how to follow specific feeds,
and I had to turn off all notifications because I kept getting likes at like 3 a.m, 4 a.m, and I didn't want. And I couldn't figure out how to change that setting, so I just turned off all notifications. So that's probably not great.
Justin,
but
yeah,
you can check me out on Twitch, everywhere else. Yeah, Justin's a good dude. I used to play some video games with him back in the day. Not so much recently, but maybe in the future, who knows? But yeah, that's where you can catch me. My Twitch channel, I have not been live too often because my internet has been kind of spotty here. And with the winter coming, it's going to get a little worse because I do have satellite internet. And it is December coming. And for some reason, it's still a lot of snow on the ground. So it's not too bad.
Kyle,
yeah, that's where you can catch me. Is that MN Viking Zombie.
I'll let you keep clicking, Kyle, and showing things. I'm going through all of Adam Carlson's articles right now and then scrolling to the bottom.
I'll have an article out in the morning about the 5 changes the Vikings need to make in order to finish the season strong. So that should be a fun one.
Oh, appreciate you, Wes. Appreciate you, Jonathan. Tell Charlotte we said hi. I don't know if you promoted your stuff yet.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay. He talked me into it. There's me, Vaguely Square. I am on Blue Sky. That's my social media. I post a lot of photography work. You can check out my website here as well, kylewest84.picfair, picfair.com. Share that up on your social media. Support your local artists, support your local photographers. Like Adam said, they're trying to replace us with AI too. So, find a real person behind a camera to get your work done for you. We appreciate that. And there's Kyle Smith at NC Dog Dude on the old Twitter machine, I believe.
Yep, Twitter, Instagram. If you send me something on TikTok, I'm not going to look at it. I have far and away.
He's real bad about that. I sent him a lot of stuff about music and dogs, and he still doesn't look.
I haven't looked at messages in months on there. I figured out one day that TikTok is like digital heroin, and I stay the fuck away from it.
Yeah.
Because it just, once you go in that black hole, it's hard to get out. Hit me up on Instagram if you want to follow me there. I'm currently in the process of recording an album. I say that, and I've got to go to the doctor tomorrow. I believe I pulled my groin recently, and I don't know how because I haven't done anything fun or exciting in any level of my life. It's hard to sit down and get up. Going to the bathroom is fun. Driving 4.5 hours coming back today was awful. So I've got to go see if I have like a herniated disc and sciatic nerve pain, or have I just pulled the muscle and now my leg. It feels like someone ripped my leg off and took a different one and just put one back on there. Like, this should work.
I used to do that with my old He-Man.
Yeah, good
Was
reference.
there a what?
He-Man.
Oh, man.
Masters of the Universe.
I didn't hear that the first go around. That is an awesome reference. Yeah, I'm going to go tomorrow. I should have went tonight, but I didn't want to be late for the show. So I'm going to go to the doctor tomorrow, but I will keep you guys posted on the old social media and let you know when I can finally promote something that I made. Hopefully spring of next year.
Yeah, once again, thanks to everyone for joining us here. It's so good to have when we can have people add in the discussion. And even after a really disappointing game like that, it's nice to be able to have everybody here to talk about Minnesota Vikings football with us. And we will be back next week. I don't know what we're going to have to talk about. Probably more maybe mid-season adjustments or any other news as far as signings or news that comes out. We'll try to cover all of that. But yeah, we'll be here. And we hope you will too. So in the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.